My name is Marcus, and I'm a 45-year-old traveling salesman. I spend a lot of time on the road, staying in various hotels. It's not uncommon to encounter strange situations, but nothing could have prepared me for what I found at the Crestwood Inn. It was a chilly November evening when I checked into the hotel. After a long day of meetings and driving, I was eager to get some rest. The receptionist, a young woman with a weary look, handed me my key for room 214 and directed me to the elevator. I thanked her and made my way to my room. When I opened the door, a musty odor hit me, a mix of old carpet and something else I couldn't quite place. I figured it was just the age of the hotel and decided to ignore it. After a quick shower, I settled into bed, trying to relax. I noticed that the room was a bit colder than usual, but I shrugged it off, thinking the heating just needed time to kick in. Around midnight, I was jolted awake by a loud thud coming from the room next door, room 215. It sounded like something heavy had been dropped or thrown. I sat up, listening intently, but the noise didn't repeat. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check it out. I slipped on my shoes and knocked on the door of room 215. "Hello? Is everything all right?" I called out. There was no response. I knocked again, louder this time. When I didn't get an answer, I tried the handle. To my surprise, it turned easily, and the door creaked open. I pushed the door slightly and peered inside. The room was a complete mess. Furniture was overturned, and blood was smeared across the walls. The bed was disheveled, with bloody handprints on the sheets. In the middle of the room, a man lay motionless on the floor. Blood had pooled around him, and his chest was covered in deep, jagged wounds. The sight was both shocking and horrific. I took a deep breath and stepped back, my heart racing. I knew I needed to call for help, but I was paralyzed with fear for a moment. Finally, I managed to pull out my phone and dial 911. My voice was shaky as I described the scene to the dispatcher. "There's a man in the next room. There's been a lot of blood. I think he's dead. Please send help right away." The dispatcher was calm, taking my details and assuring me that help was on the way. I stepped outside the room, trying to steady my breathing as I waited for the police to arrive. Every shadow seemed ominous, and the silence of the hotel felt oppressive. It didn't take long for the officers to arrive. They were professional and efficient, quickly taking control of the situation. They began by cordoning off the area and interviewing everyone who was in the hotel. I was taken to the lobby for further questioning. I gave my statement, recounting everything I had seen and heard. The officers took note of every detail, and I could tell they were trying to piece together what had happened. They informed me that the victim was Richard, a 38-year-old businessman who had checked in just a day earlier. The initial investigation suggested that he had been violently attacked. The police told me they would likely need to contact me again if they required further information. I was shaken but relieved to be leaving. I couldn't shake the image of the bloodied room and the man's lifeless body from my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about the violence that had occurred so close to where I had been sleeping. The next morning, I checked out of the Crestwood Inn, my nerves frayed. The experience had left me unsettled and deeply disturbed. As I drove away, I couldn't help but replay the events of the night over and over in my head. I followed the news for updates, but there were no further reports about Richard or the investigation. It felt unsettling to think that such a violent event had happened just a few feet away from where I was trying to rest. The memory of that night still haunts me. It's a constant reminder of how quickly things can turn terrifyingly wrong. Every time I stay in a hotel now, I find myself checking the locks, scanning the hallways, and being extra cautious. Room 215 at the Crestwood Inn remains a symbol of unexpected danger and a stark lesson in vigilance. I learned firsthand how dangerous and unpredictable life can be, even in what seems like a safe and ordinary setting.